What's going on, flooring installation group? Um, some of you may know me, some of you may not. I'm Kyle Hadeen. I own Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona, and I am also the host of the Floor Academy podcast. So, weekly, I release episodes every Wednesday. I interview different business owners across the country, sometimes throughout the world, about how you run a profitable and successful flooring business. Occasionally, we'll go a little bit outside of the realm and we will get into, like, I've interviewed a chiropractor, I've interviewed a counselor, and we'll dive into other things such as, proper body mechanics or um, how do you deal with addiction or properly handle feelings and things like that, because honestly, in my opinion, to be a complete business owner, it's not just about the numbers. You've got to feel good, and you got to take care of your body so that you have longevity, and you got to know the numbers. So there's multiple things, right? We got to be complete. um I keep seeing posts in this group over and over, and I see them in all the groups. It's how much do I charge, but I see it a lot in this group. How much do I charge? What's the going rate over in Cincinnati? What's the going rate in Los Angeles? What's the rate over here? Well, everyone's right when they're like, it varies, it varies. But to what point does it actually vary? You know, there's some things that just they're going to be more consistent than you think. And so I went about creating a spreadsheet for myself to share with other people. You can see it here on the other side of the right side of the screen. And it's how much do I need to make per day? So we need to break down a bunch of things. So the first thing being is how many days a year do you want to work? And this is on the right hand side of the screen. I put in a rough basic number as 230 days per year because that gives you the 11 federal holidays off. You get all weekends off because honestly, you don't need to be working weekends and you shouldn't be. And you get 20 weekdays off. So you essentially, to me, that's 2 weeks of vacation, and that's going to be 2 weeks of downtime that is just unexpected. A product doesn't come in. A subcontractor doesn't have a project for you, whatever it's going to be, right? Maybe you want a whole month off because you can stay really busy. If you work 12 months a year, 365 days a year, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to get burnout. None of that's any good. So we do need to maintain mental health. We need breaks. Okay. Let's be realistic about what we're going to do. So 230 days a year is pretty good. If you want to have more time off, you can reduce your number. If you want to work more, go ahead and increase your number. But for the most part, I think 230 days a year is very, very realistic. Um, so the next part is you put that number into the spreadsheet, and then everything's going to get divided by 230 so that you end up with this like per day amount over here. First thing you need to decide on, how much do you actually want to make a year? How much? For me, I don't think anybody that knows a skilled trade, especially these days, should be making less than $100,000 a year. I don't care where you live. Okay. If you're living in Los Angeles, if you're living in Manhattan, there's certain cities that you should make more money because cost of living is much higher. I live in Phoenix. It's not the most expensive city in the world, but it is slowly creeping up there. But $100,000 a year gets me what I need to survive for this year. Plus, it lets me set up myself for personal retirement, go on a vacation, enjoy some finer things in life, splurge for my kids, things like that. I think $100,000 is a very fair salary for someone that knows what they're doing. So, how long is that going to be in service? Well, we're going to put that in 1 year service because we want that every year. That tells us how much per day we need to charge. And then there's this last column of taxable. And yes, that money is taxable because the IRS is going to come after us for our salary. All right. So then we start looking at some of the other expenses that we have. So we've got vehicle expenses. Well, I've got car insurance. That's $1,600 a year. I got to pay that. I've got a couple of trailers. Those cost me $100 a year to insure. All right. And so, once again, under years of service, it's for 1 year. Your per day amount breaks down to what those are. Those are not taxable expenses because that's money we're spending on our company right away. I've got a 7x14 enclosed trailer. It cost me $5,500. I'm going to have that in service for 5 years. Okay. Could it last me longer, especially in Arizona? Heck yeah. We don't rust out. This isn't the Midwest. There's not snow. There's not, salt on the roads. If I take care of it, it can definitely last me longer than 5 years. I figure 5 years is a good number. That's 2 years past all the warranty on it. And, it, if I want to replace it, I replace it. If it's still in good condition, now I'm making a little bit of extra money, right? So I have that in service for 5 years. That's taxable income because I have to save it. It has to get put in a bank account set aside, so the business is going to get taxed on that money. I've got a little tiny 5x8 utility trailer. I make deliveries and stuff with it. Maybe every once in a while, if I have a really huge tear out, I'll bring that with the second day of the project after I drop off my big 7x14. It's $1,100. I'll have it in service for 5 years. Once again, that money's taxable. All right. I got to do maintenance on my truck. I do have a slightly newer truck. It's in pretty good shape. So I'm only guesstimating $1,500 a year, right? That's an oil change every 3,000 miles. You can skip down a couple lines. I'm going to drive 20,000 miles a year. That's 6 oil changes. Oil changes run about $100 if I pay somebody. So there's 600. That leaves me $900. Some people say, well, what about tires? Well, I don't need tires every year, right? So if I'm buy 80,000 mile tires and I'm driving 20,000 miles a year, that's every 4 years. I've got an extra $900 in this line for 4 years, and tires are going to run me like $1,200. So I've got money in that line item. Any of the money spent on the truck is not taxable. If it's carried over, yes, technically it's taxable. I'm not really too worried about it. We're talking a little bit of money, not a lot. Truck registration. I got to register my truck every 2 years in Arizona is an option. I can pay 1 year or 2 years. So I'm going to go and, that's 2 years. That's money spent right up front. And then I have my actual vehicle. I don't need the newest thing on the lot. I don't have to go buy brand new 2022 F-150 or whatever brand of truck you want. I'm going to let somebody else take that. Now I can't even think of the word. I'm going to let somebody else take that hit, right? The depreciation, right? They're going to go spend $50, $60, $70,000 on a truck. They're going to drive it around for a year or two. They're going to take the major hit on the depreciation because they drove it off the lot. They put a couple thousand miles on it. So a $30,000 work vehicle is really good. My current truck, I picked up a 2012 F-150 EcoBoost with 50,000 miles on it for $20,000. I've since put 30,000 miles on it. I figure I'm going to drive it somewhere between 100 to 150. And at that point, I'll sell it. I'll have saved up the money, and I'll be able to buy a new one. But this is customizable to you. So essentially, you can buy this work vehicle, right? So $30,000 at 5 years. It's taxable because you're saving that money. So it gives you a number. I've been able to average out my gas. So I'm getting 13 miles per gallon between towing my trailer, not towing my trailer. It's a little bit higher than that. I've rounded down. I do about 20,000 miles a year. I put premium in. Roughly, that's like it's still under $4 a gallon here, but once again, rounding up. So, there's 6,000. I've got business expenses. So I've got my licensing for being in Arizona. I got to pay about $270 a year. I don't need a bond because I have taken some of my own personal money. I've put it in a certificate of deposit at the bank. It earns interest. And now that money, I'm not paying that out every year to have another company offer me a bond. I need liability insurance. My liability insurance is about $1,000 a year. Unemployment insurance I don't pay on myself. Workers' compensation insurance, I have $1,000 in here. I currently don't have any. depending on how many employees I have, what I'm doing, it's right around that number. It's nothing crazy in Arizona. I am very lucky. Inland marine policy. If you don't know what one of these is, get one. They're super cheap. You get to insure whatever you want. So call up your insurance guy and be like, "Hey man, I need an inland marine policy so that I can insure $10,000 in tools, whatever that's going to cost me." And then you don't have to file against your homeowners. You don't have to file against the car insurance if they'll even let you do it, which they won't. You don't have to you don't have to file against your general liability on your business insurance. You file against the inland marine policy. They're super cheap. They insure exactly what you want, and it's easy peasy. Get an inland marine policy, insure your tools on it. Advertising. I have this in here. I'm not currently doing this, but if you wanted to do, let's say you're doing Facebook advertising, okay? So, um, $100 a week is not that much money to spend on advertising. So you have $5,200 a year in advertising. Website. What's that going to cost you to have up and running and going? Okay, so $1,000 between website creation, updates, maintenance, registering the domain, paying monthly for stuff. That's probably a little high, but once again, rather err on the side of caution. I never get mad when I have extra money in my pocket. Bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, tax prep, all that stuff. That costs me about $2,500 a year. My phone bill's about $1,200 a year. I got a phone, right? Get an iPhone, get a Samsung Galaxy, get whatever you want. I don't care what it is. New phones are expensive. They're like $1,000. They're going to be in service for 2 years. So make sure you change that. I host my podcast. All right. That costs me about $120 a year in fees. Uniforms, man. Have nice shirts for yourself or whatever you need to do. About $750 if you're going to buy some nice shirts, maybe for you and another person. If you've got a storage unit, add that in here. Disposal fees, dumpster rentals, whatever you got to do, you can put that in here. I don't have any of that stuff. I just got a showroom. That's going to cost me about $7,000 a year. Office supplies between paper, ink, all that kind of stuff, $500. Pick up a $2,000 laptop. I can use that for 5 years. Will it go longer? Maybe. Shorter? Maybe a little bit. Probably not. The last laptop I had, I ran into the ground for a decade. So 5 years, especially for what I'm doing, not a big deal. I'm running spreadsheets like this to do my estimates on. And I'm sending emails and looking at flooring on manufacturer websites. I don't need super powerful gaming laptop. It's not necessary. Internet, right? I got to have that. So that's about $1,000 a year. My tools. I have in here 15,000. Is that accurate? Not necessarily. I probably have more than that. A lot of you guys probably have more than that, especially if you do like sand and finish and stuff. That can add up really quick. But what I want you to see is that I have it in here that I can replace $15,000 in tools every 5 years. So I've gotten complaints about that, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, why are you only doing 5 years? Why 5 years?" Because I want my stuff to look new and nice. So I'm going to budget for it. Maybe a new tool comes out and it changes the industry and I need to be able to buy it. Now I've got the money for it. If I buy a saw, should it last me longer than 5 years? Yes. Yes, it should. Especially if I take care of it and it's not getting beaten up. But let's just assume we want to be able to spend an average of $3,000 on tools a year. That's really not that much money. And so 15,000 over 5 years it's nothing. So budget that in there. Make sure you're able to replace your stuff as you need it, and you can do it. Supplies, sundries, etc. There's nothing in here right now. Between everything I'm buying, I don't know. Let's add another $5,000, right? I got to buy caulk, and I'm buying different grouts and glues, and I charge my customers for glue, but you're buying lots of little stuff. Is it 5,000? I don't know. I'd have to go through and actually add that stuff up, but we'll throw a number in there. Okay. Trainings. I want to be able to go to a training. I want to be able to go and get a certification or something, right? So between hotel, flight, leaving my area because I'm not waiting for them to come to me, I'm going to go to them. I'm going to go and do this. That's 2,500 bucks probably minimum. Conventions, I have a blank space. I won't lie. I'm fortunate enough that I've been booked last year and this year to speak at surfaces, so they pay for me to go. If I was not being paid to go, I would put something in there. Once again, probably a minimum of like $2,500. Meals and entertainment. Well, I'm going to go to this convention. I'm going to go to this training. I want to make sure that I can go out and eat and buy some drinks for the guys that I'm meeting, because that's where it's not just the convention or the certification that matters. It's the connections you make while you're there. So I'm going to make sure that I'm able to have a good time while I'm out with these people. You got to stay up on the up and up with books. So I'm going to get a book a month, $30 a book. And I want to make sure that I can prepare for my retirement. So I'm going to put $5,000 into an IRA for me, and I'm going to put $5,000 into an IRA for my wife. So there's $10,000. Okay. So this is taxable subtotal with 20% tax added for all of these taxable columns. All right. So for the taxable, I need $604 per day. Non-taxable stuff, I need $219 per day. So total, I need to make $823.87 per day. Now, notice this giant line right here. This includes no profit. This has paid me. This has paid for the future of the business to succeed, and it's setting me up slightly for a retirement. But it does not include any profit for the business. How will you grow your business if you are not profitable? So how much profit do I want? That's the question. Well, I've put $50,000 in here. If I'm going to make 100, I want the business to make 50. Okay? So I've added 20% tax into that. So now my minimum per day total is just under $1,100. So do I want to focus on my per day? Not totally, because one day you might be in a giant wide open living room or on a commercial job site where you can just throw down tons and tons of yards and you get to make $4,000 in a day. And then the next day you're stuck in the tiniest bathroom from hell and you make $300. So you got to look at averages, right? So if I'm at 1,100 per day, I'm at 5,500 per week. Multiply that by 4 and you're going to get 55, 11, 22,000 a month. Okay. So you got 22,000 a month. So now you can start looking at things a little bit differently. And how do you figure out what am I doing with these numbers, right? So I don't want to get too hung up on per day, but it gives me a good place to start. How much square footage can I actually install in a day? If everything's already been prepped and everything, I don't have to do any finish work. If I'm just doing 8 hours of straight install, how much can I get done? I'm not fast. I don't want to be fast. So I'll say, 400 square feet in 8 hours. That's 50 square feet an hour. I can, okay, so 1,100 divided by 400 square feet. So I need to charge $275 a square foot for whatever I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to track myself. How much can I install per hour or over a period of time, an hour, 2 hours, 3.5 hours for like a month? I'm going to keep track of everything I do in a day. How much carpet can I tear out? How much tile can I tear out? How much of anything can I do? How much baseboard can I cut, install, and caulk in a day, right? All these things that I have to do. I'm going to time study myself. And I'm going to find the average, right? Am I good for 50 linear feet an hour? Am I good for 100 linear feet an hour? Am I good for 100 square feet an hour? How much can I actually do in a day? Once I know how much I can do in an 8-hour period, now I can start figuring out what I should be charging per square foot or per, linear foot, whatever it's going to be. And on average, if I have a whole house to do, it's going to work out the correct way just about every time. So that's what's important here, is that you're figuring out what you actually need to make per your business model. Okay. And then you can look at where you're at with the regional numbers, and like that's a fine place to start, right? If everyone in your area is at $2 a square foot for LVP, you can start at 2. But if you're not making money and feeling like you're doing anything, this is where this comes in. Where do you want to compete at the market? Do you want to be at the bottom, the middle, the top? Are you going to offer premium services? And so this is why this all matters, is that I don't care what the going rate is. If my business tells me I need more money so that I can afford to run my business the way I want to run my business, those are the numbers I'm charging. I don't care what anybody says the rate is. I care what my business tells me the rate needs to be, okay? And so I can start figuring all that stuff out and making sure I hit my numbers. When I hit my numbers, I'm more successful, I'm more happy, I'm more confident, and I can please more people because I'm not wondering how I'm going to pay the electric bill. I'm not wondering how I'm going to put my kid in swim lessons. I'm not wondering how I'm going to afford that new tool for the project. I've already got the money for it and I'm buying it. So that's my short little video on my spreadsheet. Um, it does have another part, actually. If you want to play around, if you have employees, there is an employee labor burden cost on here. And so you can put in what you need to pay your employee per hour. It's got FICA and Medicare in it, how much you got to pay in federal unemployment. You can figure out your state unemployment, give them an IRA match because let's give people benefits and take care of them and help support them. You can put in what your workers' compensation insurance percentage per $100 is. Some general liabilities are affected by payroll, so you can do that. Give them a 1 week vacation, right? Let them earn that. My state requires mandatory sick time. I figured out what the payroll processing would be for what it cost me to have my bookkeeper do them. And then it spits out this number of like what it actually cost the employee what it cost you for your employee per hour. So I was maxing this out to see like where I could ultimately like what's the highest I could offer somebody with all of these benefits, right? So at $39.61 an hour, offering them all these different benefits, they top out at $50 an hour. But that means I need them making me $100 an hour. So the employee is going to cover their $50 an hour, including all of their bonuses, right? I don't want to be paying the 1 week vacation out of my time or the sick time out of my side or their IRA match out of my side. To me, you have to look at total compensation package. Okay. So that's all money that goes to the employee. They need to earn it on their side. So they need to do a minimum of $50. They make $50 per hour. Well, now my company needs to be able to continue to run and pay for advertising and have the showroom up and pay salespeople and have, I need all the things, right? I need to be able to buy another truck. I need to have more tools. I need to have all these things. So I'm also taking all the liability. If that employee screws up the floor, I pay for that. So that's why if they're making 50, I get 50. Okay. But they are well taken care of at this point because it's not often that you get into a trade and you get 1 week paid vacation. You get some sick time. You get an IRA match of 3%. These aren't normal benefits. Okay. How often is it that you even get put on payroll instead of just being told you're a 1099 subcontractor when you're just an apprentice and they're telling you when to show up and have all the tools and all that stuff? That shouldn't be happening. So let's take care of people properly and account for it. So once I know that like this employee is going to cost me whatever they're going to cost me per day, but they're going to bring in the other half, right? So let's say the employee costs me $50 an hour. Well, all right. So at 8 hours a day, that's $400. So they're going to get paid 400 and I'm going to get paid 400. Okay. So if we go back over here, I can come down here and say, well, the employee's going to make me $400. So I would need three guys all doing $400 a day or $800 a day in labor to cover all of my expenses to keep them going, right? 4, 8, 12. I need 1100. I'd be a little bit ahead, but that would get me paid my 100,000, them paid their 100,000 in total compensation, and the company would still make its 50,000 in profit while still providing all of the tools. The numbers matter, folks. We've got to know what we're looking at so that we can actually get to where we want to be. This isn't just go to the store, get your work order, show up, do the job, get a check. Like, that's nice. I'm glad that system works for a lot of people, but you're still running a business. That store is your client, and you need to be able to continue to be able to provide them with that service. So you need to know what it costs you to run your business on your side, pay all your guys, and be profitable and earn a retirement. There's no reason that you should have to install until you're 75, 80 years old, unless you absolutely feel great about it and you want to. If you want to retire at 65 years old, do it. If you want to find a way to retire by the time you're 50, do it. There's no reason in this trade, with where the market is at and the lack of qualified installers, that you should be living paycheck to paycheck. Figure out your numbers and get profitable. I want to see everyone succeed. This spreadsheet is available on the flooracademypod.com website. Just go to the files tab. Excuse me. And you can go on the website, or and click on one of the links for us. You can go on your favorite listening app. Every Wednesday, somebody's getting interviewed about some topic that you're going to get some little gem from to help you improve your business. So I just wanted to run through all of that. I know this is long. I think it'll help a lot of people figure out where they actually want to be in business, as opposed to asking the same question all the time. So that's what I got. Thanks for listening. And if you got questions, feel free to send me a message, or, make a post in the group and just tag me, and I'm happy to answer them. Later, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.